You know what's funny? The string doesn't go up for the first 30 seconds, so there's a very good chance in that nobody heard anything that went on beforehand. All they heard was, "Oh, you've done it again," which actually makes it even more amusing. I approve.
Good evening, Andrew. Another professional start to the show. How are
They have
you?
no idea what profession yet. Just you wait until Thursday or Friday, rather.
I want to re-record that one. You're mean.
No, that was an amazing intro. Anyway, I hope we're all well.
Yes, how are you doing, Andrew?
Oh, right, you ask our Andrews, you don't ask me. Fair enough, I understand how this is.
How are you, Jordan?
Oh, look, I'm well, thank you.
Good evening, Philomena and Ragnar. People were asking after you yesterday, Philomena. Hope all is well, my dear. Good evening,
Fantastic, thank you for that.
No, he just said boop or something just as we went live and he put me off.
Yeah, I said hip. I can't even get my voice up that high again. I can't do it twice in one day. It's just too much.
Okay. Look,
I need a drink. I'll give it another go.
Yeah, go and have a drink. While I say good evening to Aramis and Space Hopper Mark and Sir Francis, and thank you again, Philomena, for confirming. Oh, and Aramis and Space Hopper Mark, actually, and Hasdak, that YouTube is all good and proper. Wonderful. Johnny Not Powell, good evening to you. Okay, so, lots to talk about. It's the usual subject, I'm afraid, but so much going on. Every day's
it's a good subject.
Every day is just a blessing, isn't it? Should we get straight to it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so here we go. Here is something we wanted to cover.
It's obviously Stacey Solomon's obsession with sinks.
Oh, God.
The Mail, everybody. The non-celebrity's obsession with sinks. This is what covers for news.
Just show everyone her face. Oh, my God.
Do I?
Don't...
I don't know.
Hi, everyone. My name's Stacey. No, she's probably very nice. Oh, she's the white savior, isn't she? She's the one that Lammy was blabbing on about.
No. That's a different one.
No, I'm sure that was her.
No, that was.
She's the one who went to Africa and did a photo opportunity.
No,
with a little African
that's
child.
definitely not her.
I'm positive it was her. Can chat confirm? Was it Stacey Solomon?
Stacey Doolin.
All right, fair play.
But same name. Same name.
Good evening, Peter. You've just come back from clubbing. Please tell me you're in another country on a completely different time zone. Otherwise, I'm supremely impressed. Roanwood said, masks for fuglies only. There you go. I can't say fairer than that, really. Yeah, I second that. See, look, you've made the whole chat feel nauseous. Stacey Dooley, thank you everyone for confirming. Right. Anyway, shall we get to the story? Can you just be a bit larger so we don't have to look at that face?
Did you deliberately say larger in that weird way?
Larger.
Anyway, wearing face masks could become the norm in the UK after COVID because pandemic may cause a cultural change. Yes. Professor Lockdown, Neil Lock 'em down, Ferguson says.
So we were talking about, this is obviously priming you. This is telling you that this will continue. They've no basis for saying this at all. And they don't know Brits very well. Cultural change. I think we've had more than enough change for 1 decade, for 1 year. Good evening, Steve. Working and lurking. Very good. So Neil Ferguson says that rules could be relaxed this year. Scientist, some random scientist, maybe Neil Ferguson, who knows, says people's behaviour may have been changed by the pandemic. No kidding.
I love how it's Like, it's such a weak way to start an article. Scientist says people's behaviour may have changed.
Well, they've called it. See, now this is the argument from authority. They call him Professor Lockdown, Neil Ferguson, in the title. Then they call him a scientist. You just really drum home this man's credentials, so that you're getting this message from a professor and a scientist. I feel like there's a joke: a professor and a scientist walk into a bar. I don't know what the punchline is. Punchline is probably there's another lockdown for 6 months. But anyway, let's have you read some of this out then, Jordan. See what this professor scientist says.
Where could become the norm in the UK even after the COVID restrictions are scrapped. One of number 10's top scientific advisors said today. Professor Lockdown. They love calling him that. Is this some sort of weird SEO ploy or something?
I don't know, but what a thing to be remembered for.
Anyway, Neil, the epidemiologist whose grim modelling led to the first blanket shutdown last spring, right, so he's the lad we need to blame, said the pandemic may have caused a cultural change. It's already routine in Southeast Asia for people to wear a mask in public spaces if they have a cold or are already feeling poorly. What about when they don't have a cold and they don't feel poorly and the government has mandated shops that everybody has to wear a bloody mask? Is it a norm then, Mr. Lockdown?
Also, does Professor Lockdown even understand the nature of the British people? We don't do things because other people do them. We are trendsetters. People do things because we do them. We don't follow foreign cultural norms. We just don't do it. It's just not something we do.
It's kind of amusing that they wear suits because we wear suits and they like to be like us. Just pointing that out.
Well, in fairness, if you were to look at the UK over the last year, you could argue that Southeast Asia is copying the UK. Because I've seen lots of people wearing masks for no good reason. So, yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Thank you. I will.
You're welcome.
And Professor Lockdown said it was quite possible mask wearing would become the norm in the UK. So that's priming. This is a prime example of priming. This is priming you to accept a new norm.
Yes. The new normal, in fact. Philomena says, I want the right to sneeze on people if I want, lol.
I saw that and started laughing.
Yes, we agree. You should sneeze on everyone, Philomena.
Hey, I think if somebody comes on your door and they knock on your door, rather, if somebody knocks on your door... if somebody knocks on your door and you don't want them there, you should be able to sneeze and I'm moving on. Thank you very much.
Yes, moving on briefly, very quickly. Can I just say quickly, good evening, Timmy, and good evening to, who did I just see? But it may be something I can't bring on the screen. Lord Aragorn, yes, it's just a sticker, so I can't put it up on the screen, unfortunately. Peter Christo, YouTube is very clear about what we can and can't say. However, we agree with you. Let's just leave that there.
If we have to play between the rules.
Yes.
But we have to play in the rules, basically. Simple.
Johnny Not Powell says, I can't remember the last time I had a flu. I've never had a flu vaccine. I don't know anyone who has, actually.
I've had the flu once. And it was not very nice. But at the same time, it wasn't... I can understand if you're elderly, yeah, it would be pretty damn bad. But if you're young and healthy, it wasn't that bad at all. It was just kind of annoying.
I have a couple of more comments I want to read before you carry on. I'm just not too sure about this one. Let's just spit in each other's mouths and get on with life. I feel that's a step too far. I don't know. Wonder what the chat think about that. And good evening, Jonathan. Very good to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Has anyone else joined us? Oh, McDonald. Good evening, McDonald. You had the flu as a wee lad and it was pretty darn savage. Well, I guess it depends who you are and what the circumstances are. And, oh, it's jumping up the page. I'm trying to find you there, David. You've had the COVID vaccine. It is what it is. I hope you're well. Right, that's everyone. Let's get back to the story.
Thank you. Quizzed about the topic, he said, "We have got used to being careful, particularly if we're slightly ill ourselves, about not wanting to infect other people. And so those sort of things may well happen here."
May well happen. They're so desperate for us to take this as it's happening, which is why the headline always convinces you that it's a done deal. And then when you get into the detail, it's someone suggests it or someone thinks it.
Well, we're about to see that in the second article as well. That's a really, really good example of just that. How they line you up to believe one thing. Judging by the headline, you think it's already a done deal, and then you read into it a little bit, and then they're hardly even asking the question. They're suggesting that the question needs to be asked.
Yes. So anyway, carry on.
Cover for me. I'm drinking tea.
Okay. So Professor Ferguson, again, Professor, just keep rolling out those credentials, claimed laws on wearing coverings are likely to be relaxed by the end of the year. End of the year, everyone. For those who think it's over soon, it's definitely not. Face masks were made mandatory on public transport in June last year and in indoor public spaces the following month. Boris Johnson's roadmap out of lockdown says all legal limits on social contact will be lifted no earlier than June the 21st this year. The obvious question is what happens on June the 20th. But the Prime Minister's blueprint makes no specific mention of when face mask rules will be dropped. So there you go. June the 21st. There's a date for everyone's diary. What happens on the 20th of June? I'm sure something
It'll be in the week leading up to it.
Something will happen, definitely.
I need to zoom out.
Good evening, Tash. This is live, this one, my darling. Okay, back to you, Jordan.
Thank you. But experts have previously suggested face coverings could be required for years to come, despite debates over whether they actually slow the progress of the virus.
Debates.
Slow the spread, rather. Mary Ramsey, head of immunology. Immunisation, rather.
Just making words up at this point.
Hey, look, I just added them in as they go along. Just like these people, just make it up. It's fine. At Public Health England last week claimed that people may need to wear face and continue social distancing for several years until life gets back to normal.
Who is Mary Ramsey?
Based on head of immunisation.
Immunisation. Okay.
So, Romney, you would kind of suggest, given that it is her job to inject as many people as humanly possible, that it's kind of within her. It helps her out, let's say, if people are worried about having to wear the mask for years to come, because that makes them more likely to go get the jab, which makes it look like her department's actually doing something.
Except
it's actually having an effect.
Except for the fact that the government themselves admit that having the jab does not prevent you from catching it or spreading it or protect you from it. So, got to ask the obvious question. What is the point?
Training you, getting you ready for a new norm.
Brilliant.
Chief Scientist Sir Patrick last month revealed the rules around wearing face masks expected to the end of next year as well established. This article is repeating itself a hell of a lot. Oops.
Yes.
I haven't read this article, by the way, chat. I'm going in blind. I'm just trusting Joe on this.
Professor Graham Medley, a sage advisor and infectious disease expert, at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, told Mail Online masks may still be used years from now out of habit. So one person says this, and it's become a headline. What it must be to have so much influence. Asked about the prospect, Professor Ferguson told BBC Breakfast, I suspect later this year, the mandates, the legal requirements to do some of the things will have gone. I think that there's an interesting question as to whether people's behaviour changes as quickly. Oh, believe me, it will. People have got used to being very cautious around each other, used to wearing masks. Yes, and that's deliberate, isn't it? Almost as if you don't want people to talk to each other and be suspicious of one another. Mm-hmm. I can't predict how quickly that would change. Well, surely you can enact some other emergency law to make it change. or whether we've actually seen a permanent change in society to some degree. Well, you're making up the rules, aren't you, Professor Scientist? I think it's quite possible this pandemic, you see, you've got to read what they say. I think it's quite possible this pandemic, not the next one, this one, which has been an immensely traumatic event for this country and for the world, because he says so, will cause significant long-term cultural changes, behavioural changes in the population. He added, I can't say whether that kind of cultural norm will cross to Europe, to the UK, but it's quite possible that it will. We have got used to being careful, particularly if we're slightly ill ourselves, about not wanting to infect other people. And so those sorts of things may well happen here. That's amazing.
They already said that.
That's amazing. Yeah, they'll repeat themselves now. That's amazing.
The interesting thing here is how they're preparing you for a change. They're preparing you, they're priming you to see it as normal.
But they say this pandemic rather than the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they're already talking about a third wave in Europe.
There's that aspect as well.
In mainland Europe. So
is it only the third? I thought it was the fourth by now.
Oh,
Aren't we in the middle of the third one currently?
I'm not being funny, but I've lost count.
There's more waves than the bloody tsunami.
Does anyone know which wave we're currently at? Which wave we're currently in?
I think it's the third currently. I'm not sure. I give up. I don't care.
Anyway, so that's that. So basically, they say something. They hope you all believe it's actually happening, and they hope you all do it because everyone else is doing it. That's priming. Those are norms. That's a nudge.
See, I'm looking forward to after next week when the Mindspace proper one goes up. When the Mindspace proper one goes up, and then we can start digging through these. I'm really, really looking for the nudges and the nurdles, trying to work them out.
Yes, next Tuesday's episode is the final breakdown of what Mindspace is.
Indeed. If you haven't watched it so far, watch that episode. That will you will understand so much more about what we're going about tonight and just in general.
And then
it's one of those things. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
That's the beauty of it. It's inoculation, to use the terms that they love to use. But after that, we are jumping straight back to the present and showing the ways that nudges have been used against us in real time.
Jimmy said, now we're in 3D. Wave 2, a turn of the wave. Now in 3D.
Johnny Not Powell, that's a bit harsh. Johnny Not Powell, the next wave will get the finger. Ragnar says, so many waves, and I forgot my surfboard. You got to ride those waves, people. Catch a wave. Got to catch them all, right? Yeah, I'm mixing my metaphors there, but anyway.
Stuff can be put that on the screen, but that is bloody interesting, mate.
Yes, yeah, we're just not allowed to. We're not allowed to talk about truth in some places. It's one of those things. Anyway, so we're not going to carry on with the story. It's a blatant piece of manipulation. They tell you something they hope will happen.
Remotely interesting. Keep talking. I'll just skim through it.
Apart from Stacey Solomon, I can't think of anything. It's amazing. They will keep telling you things that they wish would happen, hoping that you believe they're already happening, hoping that you're so demoralized and beaten down by life that you just go along with them.
This is something I don't really understand. He said the surge in Europe has already happened to us and we're through the other side. Not through to the other side. But the real concern is things like the South African with the vaccination program we're currently using, whilst it was still some protection to us, that variant, the protection would be reduced.
Oh.
I'm anywhere near enough about vaccines to know if that's how it works. I can believe it, I can understand it, but it just doesn't sound right. That's not the image that I've always had in mind for vaccination. I could be wrong. It could be completely correct. It's just...
It's like when they talk about a new, like when the first report of a new variant comes out, like South African variant or Afghanistan variant, or name that country. And then they say things like, "Oh, yeah, well, we're gonna need to develop another vaccine for this." How do you even know? It's not even arrived yet. Unless you've been over there, unless you've been breaking those lockdown rules and travelling. How do you know? And obviously they can get away with it now because the vaccines have been travelling. But they couldn't get away with it before, and yet they kept making the same statements. So, that's quite interesting. Even before the first vaccine was released, they were giving all sorts of factual information on these new variants that they couldn't possibly have known. Just a good point to note. Anyway, is there anything else of value? Well, okay. Is there anything of value?
None.
A mask will always be better than nothing. I beg to differ. Oxygen would be better than a mask, surely.
Sunlight would be better.
Sunlight, vitamin D, a varied diet of healthy foods, and lots of exercise.
Oh my god. This is one of those things. This is why fact checkers shouldn't exist. What have studies shown about face masks and COVID? Face masks lower the virus R rate. Infectious droplets will still slip through. Fair enough. Somewhat balanced. Masks will always be better than nothing. Not balanced at all. Mask wearers equally virus. Back to being somewhat balanced. Mask leads to thousands of fewer cough droplets.
Hang on a second. If masks are better than nothing, but they still allow droplets to come through, then they are in fact equal to nothing.
But they let through they let through fewer droplets.
How many droplets does one need to be infected? Arguably one, right?
Correct.
So it doesn't matter if it lets in one or a million. If it lets in any, it's ineffective, no?
Even so, that is their stuff. What the comments? Still haven't worn one. Fair play. In the census. Religious stuff. These comments are rather interesting. Then again, it is also the male. You kind of expect them to be on the side of normal.
There's a few comments I want to read out in the chat.
Oh, by all means.
This one's a bit controversial, given where it's come from. Not the person, the channel. Just to be clear, the platform. But I'm going to read it anyway, because what the hell. If a copper tries to fine you for breaking the rules, you just need to say, what are the rules? No one's officially informed me of the rules. Well, the rules have been all over the place, haven't they? So that's a fair point. Then there's another one from... Hang on, I jumped. From Snufkin. The attitude has changed with the majority now. The vulnerable are vaxxed. People are starting to visit each other. I will give you that attitude, but that's just people essentially returning to normal.
Indeed.
Aramis, where exactly are you? There's no... well, I guess in the UK, we don't call it the UK strain. Wherever you are, we probably call it that strain. Just saying. So, like, if it's South Africa, we'd call the same strain the South African strain, or the Australian strain, or the American strain, or whatever. Beardy Weirdy, what a good name, says, they'll say, don't you watch the news? No would be my reply. None of this would hold up in a court of law. Well, that's a good point. Do agree. McDonald says, masks are definitely not better than nothing. McDonald says also bacterial pneumonia, hypoxia, gum disease are not better than nothing. Well, this is the thing. They do restrict oxygen. This is proven.
Mm-hmm.
Snufkin says, I've not bothered to wear a mask at all. Never had any trouble. People don't realise the prison door is open. This is a gilded cage, isn't it? People are locking themselves away at this point. Jonathan says, at this point, it's all a bit of a joke, isn't it? Rules, regulations, mask on mask, BS. Well, yes, let's just talk about that for a moment. At one point, was it not suggested that we wear 3 or 4 or 5 or 6
I think the current guidelines in some nations, anyway, is actually 3 masks.
3 masks.
I think we've been told to wear 2. Have you ever seen a picture of somebody wearing 2 masks?
Yes, they look like idiots.
Forget looking like idiots. It looks really uncomfortable.
Well, the thing is, that might fly in the winter, but it won't in the summer.
Oh no, not when it's
Because
hot.
all we need is a balmy 60 degrees in the UK, and we think it's like a heat wave. So people are just going to be sweating droplets everywhere, and then those droplets are going to be all infected, and everyone's going to be, oh my god, someone sweated on me, and then that will be the next. What would they call that? The sweat wave, the new sweat variant, and then there'll be another lockdown. So. Beardy Weirdy says, fear of losing one's jobs is what makes people complicit, not the virus. It will be fear of the vaccine that makes people wake up. I do hope so, because I read this morning that, well, this is another little play-by-play performance from the government, where the headline is all under 18s have to have the vaccination, and then you find out afterwards again it's another suggestion. It's priming you to accept this when it's suggested a bit more forcefully. And of course, if there's no uptake, then I'm sure the emergency powers the government are starting to demand again for an extended 6 months. We'll make sure it happens. McDonald says apparently Florida has one of the highest rates of the UK variant. They don't care. No mask mandates, restaurants open, death rates are nothing out of the ordinary. I'm very pleased to hear it. Peter says a cloth mask also produces 1,000 milligrams of CO2. 1,000! Didn't realise it was so much. McDonald says I've seen more than one double masker. It is a painful sight. What?
I was waiting for you to get to that one.
Please tell me that's a joke, Tash.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Shake. No. A foot shake. No, that's it. I give up. People are just too stupid for words.
This is real.
Oh, God. Thank you
This
for
is
bringing
real.
it to
This
our
is
attention,
on
Tash.
CNBC. The coronavirus is stopping a handshake, but the foot shake is taking its probe. What the heck is this?
No.
Go away. Cut off.
No foot shakes. Don't care. No. Just no.
Well, isn't the Tanzanian geezer dead now?
The president,
was he the prime minister?
The one who went missing for 2 weeks and then suddenly died of a heart attack.
Yeah, he might be. He might have been the prime minister, as opposed to the president.
Yeah, he didn't own an island or anything. That was just very unusual and unexpected.
However, world leaders have already found a replacement for the foot shake.
Oh, God. Whatever. Snufkin says bus drivers wearing masks slower driver reactions. That's a good point if you're depriving yourself of oxygen. Wouldn't that be like drinking under the influence? Driving, under the influence. Johnny Not Powell says, lady at the shop said I have to wear a mask. I said I've been vaccinated. It was funny seeing her confusion playing out in her own head.
I like that. That's better than what I was going to read out, which was, in China, bumping feet has been dubbed the Wuhan Shake. Named after the city at the epicenter of the virus outbreak. The Wuhan Shake. That does not sound cool, just saying. That doesn't sound good. Anyway, are we carrying on? Oh, something else happening here. Are we carrying on, or do you have more comments?
No, I'm caught up. Let's do it.
Oh, I apologise for the horse face over there on the right. Pubs could be allowed to ban customers who haven't had the vaccine, or the COVID jab rather. Johnson has said, we're allowed to decide whether to use vaccine passports.
Can I just interject here? When I first saw this headline come up, the implication was that pubs would ban anyone without a COVID passport. And you notice they also call it the COVID jab.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just timing you, getting you ready, getting you to view it as normal as flu jab.
Yes, but they don't call it the COVID vaccine. They call it the COVID jab. Mm-hmm. But they can call it a vaccine passport because that's what it's named. Interesting.
Because they want the word jab to
Yeah, well, it makes it seem so benign, doesn't it? Oh, it's just a little jab. It's nothing to worry about. According to Boris Johnson, he didn't even feel it. I think many world leaders didn't feel it when they had their jab, but they weren't as forthcoming, especially those who had the cap still on, but that's a whole nother stream. Snufkin says, I don't know why I took that down. That was a very good comment. And now I can't find it. Damn.
Do you remember what it was?
No.
This is what I have to work with, Chad. Do you see what I mean? It can't be that difficult to remember. Just think harder.
There. Pubs won't enforce this. They haven't the staff and they need every penny. I would imagine that this is, again, more fear-mongering.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine there's even the massive chain pub. I can't imagine enforcing this one. They need money. And they know the way that pubs are, there is always a pub nearby another pub. That's just how this country is. So if you get rejected out of one pub, you're just going to go to the next.
Well, this is
it's common sense. You'd literally just be sending customers away into the hands of other people.
And they're not in the position to be turning away good business. They can't afford to. So, yes, I agree. McDonald says, didn't Bojo have the Moderna jab as well? I don't remember that. It's possible, though. Would have to look into that. Linguistic conditioning, yes. This has been constantly used since the lockdown began. Timmy says, we know he did not feel anything. Hello, Matt. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Evening.
And Beardy Woody says, this subtle brainwashing has been going on for years. Social experiments, see how far they can push the populace. If they meet no resistance, they up the ante. Yes, they just never had a name for it before. But we know that, yes, they've been coercing people and manipulating and using state propaganda for decades. Ragnar says he got 1 month ago. That's interesting. Yes, exactly, Daffyd. And good evening to you. Yes, it's not really viable. I think if pubs reopen, they're going to have to take every customer they can get.
Absolutely.
But
it's not viable at the best of times normally.
It's a shame, though, a lot of pubs won't reopen. A lot of businesses won't reopen after this. What an absolute farce. This whole lockdown.
Well, that's entirely the point of it. It's in order to create a K-shaped recession. Which is when, quite literally, when the rich get richer off the backs of everybody else. Because as the low economy starts to crumble, as the failing economy rather starts to crumble, the hedge funds and what have you, they're able to buy up assets at a rate of knots.
Of course. We know that they've been buying up farmland. We know that they've been buying out businesses. Will makes a really good point here. If they can ban people without the vax, can they ban people with it? If you can discriminate on medical records, why only that one? Well, that's a good point. And I should imagine that there would be legal grounds for some pubs to discriminate against people who have had the vaccine for the same reason, because if the vaccine works the way a vaccine should, then anyone who's been vaccinated would actually be a higher risk of spreading a disease. So
it's an interesting question. You wouldn't be able to get away from it, but that is an interesting question.
So Johnny Not Powell, just going back to the story, says the story that reconfirmed it's all nonsense is that they extended COVID laws until October when the flu season begins. Did that happen? I've had a news-free day. I know they were asking for it or suggesting that they were going to have it. So have they extended those laws? Or
no idea.
Are they still trying to?
This is the first bit of news I've had all day. It's been rather pleasant.
Yeah, I've been offline most of the day. But thank you for sharing that.
Anyway, PM suggests pubs might require customers to produce vaccine certificates. Almost 29 million people have received their first. Johnson said the basic concept of vaccine certification should not be totally alien. What on earth does that actually mean?
It's soft speak for get used to it because it's going to happen. Get familiar with it. The next section says Boris Johnson suggested that some pubs might require customers to produce vaccine certificates, an idea that he had previously deemed unlikely. Again, this is people speaking and giving their own opinion. Any pub landlord worth his or her salt is going to decide the needs of the business, and the needs of the business will be that they cannot afford to turn away custom. Not only that, but if you can imagine how very passionate people are about this particular subject, if you went down to your local and found out it was turning people away if they haven't been vaccinated, how many people are you going to tell to boycott that pub or to stay away from it? Who's going to sit and have a drink in a pub where not only do you have to prove that you've had the jab, you'll probably be asked to wear a mask? How do you socialise when everything you say is muffled and you're starved of oxygen? Another comment I saw just on the back of that as well, and I want to just find the comment because I don't want to take away the credit for whoever said it.
Do you remember the context of it, or content rather?
Yeah, I do remember the content. It was basically pub gardens, that it would unvaccinated would be treated like smokers, and that they would be maybe asked to sit outside.
It's an interesting point.
Just trying to find the comment so I can give credit to. There we go. Peter Christo said it. Outdoor bars. Well, all right. I took a bit of license there with your comment, but I do wonder if pub gardens
You got the general gist across.
would make up for it somehow. I can't see pub landlords being so careless, I think, with potential recurring trade. I can't see it. I cannot see them throwing away the last possible chance to salvage their business. But we shall see. Okay.
See, this is what they're doing so very, very well. Asked whether ordinary citizens going to the pub might need one, he said, I think that's the kind of thing that may be up to individual publicans. It may be up to the landlord.
What does he mean,
So
may?
all they're going to claim that they're doing is providing people, i.e. business owners and what have you, with the facilities to utilise things like these vaccine certification as they see fit. And then what you do with that after is entirely up to you. It's the business's fault. Us, poor little government, we're not doing anything. We're not making any of these businesses do anything. But what they're doing is also kind of useful for us as well. So we're not going to complain.
Well, yes, but they keep using the words may. It may be up to landlords. It may be up to publicans. Does that imply that they may make this mandatory, that they may make this law?
It certainly leaves the door open.
Johnny Not Powell says it will be voted on tomorrow, as far as he can tell. Timmy says, if there is a two-tier system for the public, I will not be frequenting their premises. Right there with you. Aramis says, I lost my job 1 year ago in a cafe. I can't wait to get back, but it's still closed. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope things turn around for you. Matt says, vaccines impart immunity or resistance. What this is a medical experiment. Well, yes, that was my point. If a vaccine is produced that you take, it's supposed to give you a dose of the illness. It's supposed to help you build resistance too. So by any token, then, anyone who has just received the vaccine would likely be a carrier and have symptoms of that disease, even mild ones. So, yeah. I think it's going to be difficult for pub landlords to know what is the right thing to do. I just hope that a lot of communities still exist and a lot of landlords still have their regulars, and I hope they at least understand the mood of the nation. That's a good point from Daffyd. Do staff in pubs have to be vaxxed? Because they surely can't insist on the public being vaxxed if the staff are not. I mean, for me personally, I'm not going to take any experimental drugs, no matter how much the government tells me they're safe, especially while they're still being tested on the general public. So that's my personal opinion. I know many of you agree with me. I suspect that a lot of this is wishing and hoping. The government must understand that if they start to mandate any of these policies, they'll be breaking so many laws, including, I believe, a Nuremberg law. Medical experimentation cannot be mandated. They have trials all the time, but they must be voluntary. Vaccines cannot be mandated.
And they get out of this by saying they're not mandating this. They're leaving the option up to you.
Well, they're
which is
used in the private
deceitful and
sector
untrue.
to basically restrict you from accessing their services unless you have it. And they are encouraging it, and they know they are. And yeah, the thing is, we're going to have to vote with our feet, unfortunately. If you find a local pub that doesn't care about the vaccine passport and will accept gratefully the business that comes its way, then make that your local and boycott the rest.
As interesting as this is, people, human beings, why you needed to specify that, I have no idea. The mind of Boris Johnson, everybody.
It's like Mark Zuckerberg. They have to make sure people understand that they are part of the human race, in case anyone has any doubts. Sorry, go on.
People, human beings, instinctively recognize when something is dangerous and nasty to them. And they can see that COVID is collectively a threat. And they want us as their government and me as the Prime Minister to take all the action I can to protect them. Wow. First off, overinflated sense of self.
Remember, COVID is the threat. COVID is the threat. Just a little
There's
something
so
I
much
read
to
somewhere.
unpick in that sentence. It's actually kind of remarkable. They recognise something that is dangerous and nasty to them. But if you say that something they don't agree with you is dangerous and nasty, you're in the wrong and they're going to stop you from speaking. Beyond that, they see COVID they see COVID collectively as a threat. Let's do a quick body count. How many people has government killed in the last century, and how many people has COVID killed in the last century?
Well, we don't know that COVID has killed anyone.
Well, right, let's assume that it had. Let's just go for all the coronavirus, all the flus and all of that. Let's tot it up. Let's see which has had a bigger strike rate. I reckon it would be the flu, but not by terribly much.
I'd say wars killed more people than diseases.
It will be close. Let's put it that way. It will be very close. Even so, the government is the threat.
So that sentence, people will forget the human beings thing. That's a given, unless you're not human, Boris. People instinctively recognise when something is dangerous and nasty to them.
You mean like children, Joe Biden?
Who decides the correct response to something dangerous and nasty? There are people who think all kinds of things are dangerous and nasty to them. But depending on the thing you are calling dangerous and nasty, you're either attacked for it or celebrated for saying it. They can see that COVID is collectively a threat. Who is this they that he talks of?
What?
And they want us as their government and me as the Prime Minister to take all the actions I can to protect them. Who is he talking about?
Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to protect you. Never has a more terrifying sentence been uttered.
You know when people say you shouldn't generalise, he's used the phrase people. People instinctively recognise when something is dangerous and nasty. People. want the government and the Prime Minister to take all the actions they can to protect us. No. Your protection is killing people. Stop protecting us. Allow us to protect ourselves. That's what people want. You idiot. My God.
As I said, the overinflated sense of importance. This is what the freedom certificate would look like, by the way. I saw a question come up. I think asking.
So it's not just asking about your vaccine history. It's going to show your test history as well.
Oh, indeed it does.
Who is Chris Evans? Is that the best name they could come up with? Yeah, why not William Shakespeare?
That'd be too obvious. Can't have three of them.
Well, we know one was dead. The other one's probably died because they had the vaccine. And there could be a third who's alive. That would not be terrible. Well, 1 out of 3 is good odds. But honestly, I hate this. People want me to do everything I can to protect them. We just don't. Stop protecting us. It's killing us. Just stop. Let us protect ourselves. Again, this lockdown thing has just driven me nuts, because if the government had not imposed the lockdowns, everyone, or anyone sane at least, would have done the best for their families. They would have quarantined or at least sheltered their vulnerable. They would have looked after their children. They would have made sensible, rational decisions. They would have stayed at home if they felt unwell. All the things the government has forced us to do, under penalty of fines and legal punishments, we would have done anyway. Maybe the problem is that as we don't trust them, they don't trust us. But they know that we would have done that. They know that we would. They had to play along this little performance of assuming that we wouldn't do what was best. Because if we had a chance to do it before they implemented all of this nonsense, they would have had no legitimate reason to implement all of this nonsense. They had to get in first with mandated lockdowns. And it was only because of the lockdowns that people started to push back and say no. But without those lockdowns, I believe a lot of people would have just been sensible. Because we actually care about our relatives. And I just keep coming back to these scenes that we saw from Wuhan. It's been a hell of a year. The last year feels like about 12 years. But does anyone remember the scenes from Wuhan? January, maybe February, with people just lying dead in the street and men and women in hazmat suits picking up bodies from the street. Does anyone else remember that? Because, that was the expectation. And yet, haven't seen it here or anywhere except Wuhan. So,
They're memory holding all of that. Is this read a little bit like the USSR? This is a little bit East German going on here. The government announced on Monday that anyone trying to leave the UK without reasonable excuse will be fined £5,000.
Yeah.
I very much doubt the Stasi find anybody. But without reasonable excuse very much sounds like something that you'd need to go across the moor.
They just shot them, didn't they? This is the Stanley Johnson clause, isn't it, that they're calling it now? If you are one of the well-to-dos in the UK, if you have a holiday home or you are going overseas to buy or sell a home, guess what? You're exempt. But if you're too poor to have a holiday home or to be in a position to buy or sell a home, you will be fined £5,000 that you don't have and that they know you don't have, so that they can just really grind you into the dirt just a bit more. Absolutely ridiculous. What constitutes a reasonable excuse? There's a delay with Jordan, which means one of two things. He's either eating or he's making a cup of tea.
I am not making a cup of tea.
You're eating then.
Maybe.
Oh God, I'd forgotten about this. The Chinese government were welding people into their homes.
How
I'd
did you
forgotten
forget
that.
about that?
I don't know. Memory hold.
In your memory, bloody hell.
So yes, Cockney nut job. Yes, people with a bit of cash can leave, can come and go as they please, and everyone else is stuck. I mean, luckily for most of us, we have no wish to leave our country, but even so, it's about choice. It's about freedom. There you go. Timmy's got the right idea. I have a tent pitch in the South Med.
Wait, this is the article about them welding people inside their own homes in China.
I do remember it now. I'd forgotten because I don't
I'm
know.
going to pop that link in chat just in case anybody wants to send it to friends or family.
But yes, there's a few people who said that was pure performance. It was to ramp up the fear. And I guess it worked on many people.
Must have. Next article.
Just quickly, Daffyd says it proves that this overreach was planned internationally with the original Wuhan footage. Yes.
Now, I do have to have a warning for the chat. If you think Joe was passionate about the previous subject, this one earlier on, she ranted for about 20 minutes straight on without taking a breath.
I hate this person so much.
Really? I never would have guessed that.
I genuinely hate this person.
UK firm to stop using British pork after post-Brexit border problems. Helen Brownings, this is the person's packaging. Helen Browning says it is switching to Danish suppliers owing to bureaucracy, delays, and costs. Now, you may think this is a bit weird. Why is a UK firm going to stop using British pork? Well, apparently this person, they export a lot of food to Germany and they're having trouble getting it only because of European Union bureaucracy. Isn't it kind of weird how the European Union are the one with all their bureaucratic nonsense, yet we're the ones being blamed for it?
Well, the frictionless trade only dried up because the EU wouldn't play ball. I'm so incensed by this idiot.
My point is, they're complaining that we're not able to trade with Europe, and they're saying we should have remained a part of Europe so we could continue trading with them. Trading is the default status. If you want to buy something, there's nothing that's actually stopping you from doing it apart from government. So they're complaining that the European government is getting in the way of them trading, and the only possible solution to this is if we remained a part of the European government, which is overly bureaucratic in the first place.
Yes, so the EU mafia are preventing them from doing what they want to do, so their answer is, let's become a part of it again. Idiots. This idiot is basically upset that they can't export excess food to Germany because of Brexit, because of the EU playing silly buggers. So basically now they're going to boycott British suppliers and get all of their pork, and it's just rank hot dogs, by the way. They're going to get all of their pork from where was it, Denmark?
Indeed.
Yeah, so they're switching to Danish suppliers, and they're going to ignore the British suppliers completely. What about producing food for the UK, you utter sellout? I'm so incensed. Honestly, I hope you get some pork disease.
Pork disease.
Mad pig disease. I'm so incensed by this. At the time when our country is on its knees, it's been financially battered, and this person's just worried, oh, I can't export some pork to Germany. Well, why don't you just go and live in Germany? Bugger off.
But to be fair, this...
I'm so annoyed. This is, oh my God. So entitled.
What part of this annoys you the most? Let's go from there.
Just all of it. All of it. Entitled,
Chat, you've
stupid twit.
You've basically got the general gist of what this story is about just from the headline. This woman also sells meat to Sainsbury's, Ocado, Abel and Cole, and is planning to launch in Tesco.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying any of her stupid woke sausages, so she can bugger off. Literally destroying a country that's on its knees because she can't make a few extra quid. This is greed.
The real question is, why the hell does this matter? Why is it we need to export pork to a foreign country? Are there people in this country that don't like pork?
I'm not being funny as well. Given the demographic makeup of Germany right now, I wouldn't imagine there'd be a big market for pork.
Well, the rest of them do like pork, but just in general, you've got people here. Just produce pork. Simple. This is partly caused by the government. This is partly caused by the government's need to inflate the currency. Because if it wasn't for that, companies would be able, or farmers rather, would be able to sell their pork products at a lower price and then help reduce inflation. This is why they need countries to export as much as possible. I need to look more into this, but I'm sure there would be some sort of balance between, well, not balance, is, how do I want to word this? I'm sure there will be a relationship between rates and export rates.
What was the quote there for the export percentages? The drop, was it 40%? Did I read earlier?
I don't know.
It's on that. It's
Do you know
that
where?
story
You read it earlier. I don't know why I'm doing a bloody screen. I'm flying blind, and you're like,
right.
oh,
1 second.
where's this? Where's that? I don't friggin' know. It's the first time I've seen this woman's face. Well, 1 minute, she's standing at the front, not the back. There it is, at least 45%. Latest government statistics show UK food exports to the European Union has decreased by at least 45% since January 1st. Many smaller food producers have been shut out of sending produce to the European Union after Brexit, according to the Food and Drinks Federation. Beef exports decreased 92%.
Right, so this is a UK company that sends pork to Germany where it could be made into 75 tons of organic sausages, they're hot dogs, not sausages, annually. And they say that they've been forced to drop their support for UK farmers and switch to Danish suppliers. Why don't they just provide food? Surely, all right, they look rubbish, I will say. Why don't they just provide food to the UK? This is greed. This is profit.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of a suitable factory in the UK. We'll build one. Ask someone to build one. The vast majority of its sausages, representing 300,000 packets of sausages annually, were re-exported to Britain to be sold to the UK consumers. So this entitled, jumped-up little twat is sending... I'm sorry, I'm so incensed. So she's sending pork to Germany to be made into stupid hot dogs to ship them back to the UK so that we can buy them in the shops at inflated prices. Bye-bye, dear. I suggest you go travel with your pork. I'm so incensed by this.
Whereabouts in the article is this, John?
Right, see the red highlighted, a Guardian analysis?
What do you mean, do I see the red highlight? It's not on my bloody screen.
Aren't you looking at it? I'm looking at the screen you're looking at.
Okay.
Right, wave your mouse around.
Where do you want me to get down?
For 2 decades. See this paragraph that says for 2 decades.
Right, thank you very much.
Right.
That's in shock.
I'm so fed up with this. Greedy, stupid woman. There you go. So basically, boycotting British farmers so she can get pork made into stupid organic sausages in Germany that are then sold back to the UK at inflated prices.
See, the question is, how do we get our hands on some of these little piggies?
Well, I'm hoping that the farmers will provide food direct to the British consumer.
But how do I get my hands on these little piggies? That's the real question.
Why would you want to?
We could have our own bacon line.
Well, boycott this woman.
Well, obviously, I'd never buy this woman's stuff anyway, let alone after all this German fetishization she has going on.
Well, I mean, you can make your own pork sausages.
Yeah, but where do I get the piggies that she's no longer buying? This is what I want to know.
But it doesn't mention the farm, does it? Or farms. Exactly, English bird. All those trucks just to make sausages. And think about the condition of the food as well when it's been exported back and forth.
Yep.
This is my biggest issue with the EU, is that they take things from us, or they've given things by us that they then do something to and then send it back to us, and we pay a fortune for it. It was the same with fish and shellfish.
As English Bird says, not very eco.
No, of course not. Tell them that it's going against their green guidelines, and they'll tell you shut the hell up. But that's a good point, Jonathan. If it was a woke sausage, wouldn't it be vegetarian, not meat? But yeah, this does actually enrage me. This is something we should be looking to do ourselves now.
Well, I did ask where you buy the little piggies.
Well, I don't know. Is it not in the...
I don't know. There's no...
link?
You know, I don't... Probably somewhere. I'll find out.
Well, I'm looking.
I'll look
you
in
talk.
some more.
You
no,
talk.
no, no,
while
no,
I
no.
look.
I'll look in later on. I'll find out where this buying a piggies from, and I'll buy those piggies and make
Right,
a nice tasty bacon myself.
It says both shipments of meat the company sent to the EU since then were held up at French customs for several days. So it's the French again, which is problematic for perishable goods such as meat. It's probably why your meat's so dodgy now. Oh, and it cost them £3,500 more to send than it did in December.
To be fair, adding 25 pence onto a £4 pack of sausages is a heck of a lot. You can't tell if this is cheaper / better. There's no way on this planet this is better.
Oh, here's a nice thing though. As a result, the company has decided to source the pork for its sausages in Denmark, but this has already meant the loss of some UK customers who only sell British meat. Ha ha! This is a huge step to take, this idiot says. We're all about supporting British farmers, but not when it comes to profit. It goes against everything that we want to do, but not when it comes to profit. It doesn't sit comfortably with us, but we're going to do it anyway.
Then why do it? If it doesn't sit comfortably with you, if it goes against your principles, why do it? Are you actually that weak and pathetic that you can't stand by your own principles? Good God.
If her principles meant more to her than making some money, she would actually find a way to do the processing of it herself.
Exactly. You're making sausages, for God's sake. It can't be that bloody difficult.
Or sell a different product. Or just get a flipping meat grinder and just make them.
She's not making that many bloody sausages. What was it, 300,000 packs of sausages or something? It wasn't much, like, in comparison.
In the grand
to
scheme
other
of
things,
things,
come on.
It isn't sausages that are going to save us, is it?
These people.
Anyway, I'm sorry, everyone, but this woman has angered me. Oh, I really don't want to do this awful thing to British farmers, but I'm going to.
It's not a level playing field. We have to bring the sausages back into the country and they arrive.
Yeah, well, good luck now, because you can only sell them in Germany now, can't you? Or in the EU. Yeah, bye-bye, love. Profit before people. Profit before principle.
That's what I dislike about them the most. Like all globalists, all they care about is their money. And fair enough, money's nice. It enables you to do stuff. But being a proper brand, a nationwide brand used to mean something.
Yes.
Where was she from? Wiltshire, wasn't it?
The owner of the company was from Wiltshire.
Okay, well, fair enough. Let's say it's a Wiltshire brand then. That once upon a time, that would have meant something.
Well,
And this woman is just treating it as if it's completely and utterly irrelevant, and the only thing that matters is my GDP.
and I bet all of her products say things like British pork or made in Britain. Only they're not, are they?
Actually, let's have a look at that. I've forgotten the name of the company. Helen something, wasn't
Oh,
it?
I've got it. It is called Helen's an idiot. No, it's not. It's called Helen
No.
Browning's Organic.
These don't look like normal sausages, it must be said.
It says on the thing supporting British farms. Like, you're just going to have to change your label now, aren't you, Helen? Made from British free-range organic pork.
Yep. Let's
Not
take
anymore.
a look at the website. Let's see how very British this website is. There you go. Popped it on the screen. Live for today, fun for tomorrow.
Farm in the EU because it's cheaper.
Right, 1 minute. Let's have a look at the about. Where's the about? Oh, you can book a table.
Good luck.
There's no about page. There must be.
Probably took it down.
The website's out.
Helen's EU sausage, made especially not for you. I hope she mentions how many days it's sitting on lorries getting like in the sun. Because everyone wants to know how long their meat has just been sitting there rotting. Helen Brown's organic hot dogs.
It's very weird that it doesn't mention any sort of about page, any sort of anything.
About Helen. There's a thing about Helen, third one down.
Yeah, well, I've just found. Come on, I've just found the about page, which is kind of weirdly labelled.
Hidden.
Pretty much.
Is there a comments page? I've got a few comments for Helen.
Oh, bloody hell. The team, where do I start? Such a great bunch. Such a great bunch. I'm not going to bother employing them because they're not in the European Union. These stupid staff. How dare they? Now, you know what? It's not rah England as I expected it to be.
Quick joke for you. What do you call a pig with fleas?
Oh, by all means.
Pork scratchings.
Pig fleas. Well, I mean, I can't see the screen. Was that Johnny Not Pow?
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was.
How did I guess?
A family
I could have
farm.
gone with Sir Francis. It could have been his as well. A family farm. Our family has farmed at Eastbrook for 67 years, courtesy of our landlords, the Church of England. Naturally. Naturally. That's basically how these always work.
You're destroying history as well, Helen.
Huge amount going on here. The dairy herd, lots of calves, beef cattle, 300 ewes, 200 saddlebacks,
Hang on,
400
go back.
acres of cereal and pulse crops, and a small flock of laying hens. Yes.
What was the name of that farm?
Eastbrook.
Eastbrook Farm. Someone get in touch with Eastbrook Farm and tell them you want to make organic sausages in the UK for the UK.
No. This is their own farm.
Well,
this is the farm that they own.
Well, she'll be selling it cheap, won't she? If she's got to move to Germany now. Or Denmark.
No, she'll be keeping this one. She'll just be changing suppliers. So the external pork that she would have been buying, she's now buying abroad.
Well, we should boycott her English endeavours so that she exports herself.
Anyway.
Yes. So there you go.
Is everything covered? Are you suitably relaxed?
I was until she popped up. So anyway, how is everyone doing? How has everyone's week been?
My week's been great, thank you.
What have you done this week?
Oh, you know what I've done. Today I've been setting up my desk. I have also been fiddling around with a new network switch that I got last week and I've only just plugged in. And that's basically been my day, but it's been going well.
Good, good.
How has your day been? I haven't asked. I haven't even spoken to you today.
I've been moving stuff around and just... I've been on a weird kind of OCD reshuffling everything this week. And
have you been gardening?
I prepared my seedlings. I've already got tomato seeds up. Can I say a big thank you to Jonathan as well? My real seeds came today. So I've got my Manchester carrots and my Wotoma cucumbers. And I've got my Sweet Williams. So
this is what I was leading her into.
So
I played it like a fiddle.
I've already put my seedlings in. My seeds are in pots, ready to go. I've already primed the garden to get some stuff in the ground. My tomato seedlings are through, and my lettuce seedlings are through. So the only thing I'm waiting for now is potatoes, King Edwards. So I cannot wait for those. So big thank you, Jonathan, and yes, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. On that note, quick reminder: This Is Why We Dig tomorrow night. So if you have any gardening questions, you know what to do. Turn up at 7:30 UK time, and Jonathan and Andrew will be there to answer all of your gardening related questions. I do believe they're going to be talking about the kinds of seeds that you should be buying, and I do hope that they're able to answer your questions. And this is especially important for those of you who have come to the conclusion just in the last few months that things are going to get really bad and that you're going to be gardening for the first time. And if that's the case, then we definitely want questions from you. So for those of you who are just starting out, no question is too stupid or too silly. Everyone started at some point. And yes, we really hope to hear from you.
It's also a great stream to share with friends and family who are starting
It
out.
really is. Even if you start out with
all
one
questions
thing,
are answered.
Yeah. And yes, you will have every question answered. And that's the beauty of it. Andrew has done so much with mushrooms, radishes. I know he's had a few issues. What was the one he had issues with? Chard. Did not like that one, did he? But yes, so we've got indoor growing, outdoor growing. There you go. Ragnar needs advice on a good spud to plant. I could answer that for you now because I keep just spamming Jonathan with questions. But I'll let him answer you tomorrow night.
I like that. It was a nice little hook.
Yeah, well, I
got to keep him coming back. I like it. The marketing techniques like that.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, all the information I give you is secondhand from Jonathan anyway, and I don't want to sort of, steal his thunder. All of the information I have to impart is pretty much from him. He's got a great idea for vertical growing tomorrow that you're all going to be blown away by. So tune in for that. It's really going to save space and time. And it's going to get you all in a position where you can literally grow anything if you're asking the right questions. He will do his very best, as will Andrew, to answer your questions. So yes, that's 7:30 tomorrow. We hope to see you here. We will be here as always, saying hi in the chat. But it's their show tomorrow. Peter Christo, this is the note I want to leave it on, actually. Can you find that link, please?
We forgot to mention this. How dare you?
Thanks to Andrew reminding us about this link. Yes, your medical records. There's this very flimsy allusion to the fact that you can opt out of something, but if you don't opt out, your medical records can be used without your consent. There's a very...
Wasn't there another one that Andrew wanted us to share?
I think they're both on Discord. Do you want to have a quick look?
No. I know they are, but I said, wasn't there another thing? I don't remember what the other one was.
Well, I was hoping you'd go and have a look, but I'm going to have a look now.
Right, here it was. This is what we were meant to cover, and then we got sidetracked because you weren't paying attention. The certification, the consultations, right, which we can actually cover. That's probably a Friday stream, but we can definitely cover that one day soon. The second part Where's it gone? That's not the one. I can't find the appropriate link. Andrew, can you send it to me? Joanne, can you speak for me?
I was waiting to see if Andrew popped the link in.
Thank you.
I'm going to see if I can find the link. I know we've got one of them here. Ah, well done, Andrew. Thank you. So,
Where's he popped the link?
Yeah, he's popped the link in on DLive. Do you want to pop it onto the other channels, please?
I can indeed. Right, I do know about the second or the first one as you sent them.
Yeah, Andrew sent them both through actually on DLive. Thank you, Andrew. One of these has a very short date on them. I believe tomorrow is the last chance to do it. So do please get on there and tell the government what you think. I mean, this mail.
The second one that I just popped in is the COVID status certification review call for evidence. This is an open consultation and it is ongoing for 2 weeks and it ends on Monday, the 29th of March.
So there's your deadline for that one. Tell them what you think. Again.
Yeah, let them bloody well know.
Again,
they're going to ignore us, but they may as well ignore us while we're actually telling them what's wrong, as opposed to just being able to brush it off and say, nobody said anything.
Exactly. Even if it makes no difference, you'll have got something off your chest and you will have given them what for, and they need to know. They can't keep pretending that everyone is on board with their plans. Page not found. Which page is that, Timmy? And we'll see if we can do something about it.
There is something about this website. It doesn't like being linked to. It does happen, but I don't know why. It is in Discord. It's under the online activism tab, if anybody wants to find it. And I'm also going to pop the NHS one into there. That's not the NHS one. 1 second.
Jordan's link. Right. So Timmy's saying it's your link, Jordan, that you posted that isn't working. Sometimes it cuts the link off, I've noticed.
Yeah, that happened. I really don't know why. But anyway, they're both in the Discord. They're both under online activism, under wall development. The second one there, which I've just posted, and Andrew posted that into DLive chat, so thank you. It is about whether or not you share your health records. Choose if data from your health records is shared for research and planning. You can tell them where to go and put that if you want.
I've done it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to.
It's actually really cathartic. Even though it might not lead to anything, it still does make you feel like you told them what for. So, yeah. Good evening, Charlie. You're a bit late joining us, unfortunately, because we're pretty much about to wrap up. But thank you for joining us. Yes, planning. That's an interesting term, isn't it, English bird?
Yeah, the planning bit was a bit strange. Even so, both of those links are on Discord.
Yes, so you know what to do. The census deadline, I believe, was Sunday. Steve.
Indeed.
So I'm not sure if I hope. Well, I'm not going to say I hope everyone's filled it in. I did fill mine in though when it came to ethnicity, and the only choice was British. I put other and I filled in English. So there you go. Rubbing hands and planning. Yeah, they're planning something, all right, aren't they? I just don't think we'll like very much what they're planning. But yes, there you go. Yes, I'm afraid so, Steve. It was Sunday. I got a news thing notification. It was the last day. You could probably still fill it in. It's probably another nudge. You know, it's not really the deadline. They just want you to believe it is, so that you know you get it done and get it sent. So yes. Again, this may make no difference, but I find it quite cathartic, and
I find it quite pleasant, to be honest. Because at the very least, I'm going to object, and they're going to know that I objected. That's all it really comes down to. It's ultimately probably a useful thing we could be doing, but it is quite nice.
Yeah. Xanth, I may be mistaken that it may have been nationality. I put English for that as well. So, because I am English. So yes, anyway, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. And it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your comments. We always really appreciate them. It will be, This Is Why We Dig tomorrow. Again, just a quick reminder, same time, 7:30 UK time. Friday is another podcast that will be exclusive to YouTube because otherwise there's just audio issues.
It makes the sound weird.
Yeah,
that's why.
Exactly. And we're back on Saturday for another live stream. So we will talk to you all then. Thank you, everyone, as always. Have a very good evening and take care. See you tomorrow.
Indeed. See you then.
Bye for now.